Forget everything you thought you knew about the pecking order of the Greek gods. There was one entity, more ancient than time itself, whose raw, untamed power instilled genuine fear in Zeus. This is the untold saga of Gaia, the cosmic mother, and the profound influence she wielded that shaped existence and kept even the mighty Zeus on edge. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Nightforge. Before the dazzling halls of Olympus, before the thunderbolts and the epic sagas of heroes, there was a vast, silent emptiness known as chaos. From this primordial void, a few entities emerged, and among the very first was Gaia, the Earth. She wasn't just a place, she was a living, breathing, conscious being. She was the foundation of everything. From her own being, she brought forth Uranus, the sky, to cover her, and Pontus, the sea, to fill her depths. Together with Uranus, she began to populate the world, giving birth to the very first generation of divine beings. But this was no happy family. Uranus, her son and husband, was a cruel and domineering ruler. He was terrified of the power his children held. First came the 12 Titans, beings of immense strength and cosmic significance, like Oceanus, the world-encircling river, and Themis, the embodiment of divine law. Then came the Cyclopes, master smiths with a single eye, and the Hecatoncheires, giants with 100 hands and 50 heads. Uranus was so repulsed and frightened by their might that he imprisoned them deep within Gaia's womb, a place we now know as Tartarus. Imagine the anguish of a mother, forced to carry her own imprisoned children within her. Gaia's love for her offspring was matched only by her growing fury toward Uranus. This wasn't just a family squabble, it was the first cosmic rebellion. Unable to bear the pain any longer, Gaia plotted a revolution. She fashioned an unyielding sickle from adamant, a mythical, unbreakable metal, and pleaded with her Titan children to rise against their father. Most were too afraid, but one, the youngest and most ambitious, Cronus, stepped forward. With the sickle his mother gave him, Cronus ambushed Uranus. The act was swift and brutal, severing Uranus's power and ending his reign. From this act of cosmic violence, even more life sprang forth. The blood that fell upon Gaia gave birth to the Erinyes, the Furies who pursue and punish oathbreakers, and the Giants, a race of fearsome, powerful warriors. Cronus, now the new ruler of the cosmos, had fulfilled his mother's wish. He freed his Titan siblings, and for a time there was a new order. But Gaia's joy was short-lived. Cronus, it turned out, was just as paranoid as his father. A prophecy foretold that he, too, would be overthrown by one of his children. So, as his wife Rhea gave birth to the future Olympians Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon, Cronus swallowed each one whole. Once again, Gaia watched in horror as her grandchildren were imprisoned. This time in the belly of her own son. The cycle of tyranny was repeating, and Gaia would not stand for it. When the sixth child, Zeus, was born, Gaia intervened directly. She advised Rhea to hide the baby on the island of Crete and to trick Cronus by giving him a stone wrapped in swaddling clothes to swallow instead. It was Gaia who nurtured and protected the young Zeus, sheltering him in a cave on Mount Ida until he was old enough to challenge his father. She was the secret architect of the next great celestial war. When the time was right, Zeus, armed with the wisdom of his grandmother, tricked Cronus into regurgitating his siblings. The Great War, the Titanomachi, erupted. For 10 long years, the Olympians fought the Titans for control of the universe. Gaia, initially, seemed to support Zeus, a favored grandchild, but her allegiance was always first and foremost to the earth and to her own children. After Zeus and the Olympians were victorious, they imprisoned the defeated Titans back in the dark abyss of Tartarus, the very same prison from which Gaia had fought so hard to free them. This was a betrayal she could not forgive. This is the critical turning point where we see why even the mighty Zeus trembled at Gaia's power. Her maternal rage was now fully directed at her grandson. She had raised him to be a liberator, but in her eyes he had become just another tyrant, another jailer of her children. And so, Gaia unleashed her most terrifying creations to challenge the new order of Olympus. First, she gave birth to the giants, born from the blood of Uranus. They were enormous, powerful beings, specifically created to wage war on the Olympians. The ensuing battle, the Gigantomachy, was a cataclysmic conflict that shook the foundations of the world. The giants were so formidable that a prophecy declared they could only be defeated with the help of a mortal hero. This is why Heracles was brought into the fray. The battle was desperate, with gods and giants clashing across the earth. Even with their combined might, the Olympians barely secured their victory, a stark reminder of Gaia's terrifying creative power. But Gaia was not done. Her grief and fury culminated in the birth of her most monstrous child, Typhon. Described as a creature of unimaginable horror, Typhon was a fire-breathing monster with 100 dragon heads, his eyes flashing with fire. His size was so immense that he scraped the stars, and his voice was a cacophony of hisses, roars, and shrieks. When Typhon stormed Mount Olympus, the gods, including Zeus, were so terrified that they fled, transforming into animals and scattering across Egypt. Only Zeus eventually found the courage to turn and face this ultimate challenge. The battle between Zeus and Typhon was the stuff of cosmic legend. Lightning clashed with fire, and the entire planet trembled. Zeus, wielding his most powerful thunderbolts, managed to defeat Typhon, burying him beneath Mount Etna in Sicily, where his fiery breath is said to cause the volcano's eruptions to this day. Although Zeus won, the encounter left an indelible mark. He had faced a power born directly from Gaia's rage, a power that nearly unmade his entire kingdom. This is the essence of Gaia's might. She is not a god who operates on whims or desires for worship. Her power is elemental, primal, and deeply connected to the natural order and to her children. She is the source of all life, but also the source of the most formidable monsters. Her love is a nurturing force, but her anger can unleash world-ending catastrophes. Zeus could rule the sky, his brothers the sea and the underworld, but Gaia was the earth beneath their feet. She was the stage upon which their dramas played out, and she had the power to tear that stage apart at any moment. Zeus understood this. He might have been the king of the gods, but he was merely a tenant on Gaia's domain. Her power was ancient, deeper, and more fundamental than his. She was the ultimate ancestor, the great-grandmother of his dynasty. While he could command the heavens, he knew that to truly anger Gaia was to risk the annihilation of everything he had built. He had witnessed her wrath firsthand and knew that her capacity to create challenges to his throne was virtually limitless. The king of the gods ruled with a thunderbolt in his hand, but he always had to look over his shoulder and look down at the very ground he stood upon, because Mother Earth was always watching. So, the next time you think of Greek mythology, remember that beyond the gleaming palaces of Olympus, there was a more ancient, more visceral power at play, the power of Gaia, the Earth Mother, whose love created the world and whose anger nearly destroyed it. Her story is a timeless reminder that all power, even divine power, ultimately comes from and is accountable to the Earth itself. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the heart of Greek mythology. If you enjoyed uncovering the true power of Gaia, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the myths and legends of the ancient world. Let me know in the comments which mythological figure you'd like to see us explore next. Until then, stay curious.